The sky tore apart with fire. A violent roar shook the alien jungle as twisted metal rained down, sparks flying in every direction. Ethan Vale sprinted through the mud, heart hammering in his chest. A sharp screech pierced the storm, a cry he recognized instantly, small but desperate. A human baby. He dodged a falling beam and skidded across the wet ground. Smoke and ash filled the air, stinging his eyes. The wreckage ahead glowed red from fires licking the shattered hull. Every second counted. Somewhere in the chaos, the baby had to be alive. His fingers itched to move faster, to tear through the wreckage with brute force if he had to. Then he saw it, a tiny hand pale against the blackened metal, grasping weakly at nothing. Ethan dove forward, rolling to avoid a spark that sizzled dangerously close. He scooped the infant into his arms, holding him tight. The baby whimpered, trembling but alive. Relief surged through him, but there was no time to celebrate. From the shadows of the jungle, a movement caught his eye. Massive wings, scales that glimmered with an almost metallic sheen, eyes that glowed faintly even through the smoke. Ethan froze, pulse spiking. He expected a predator, claws descending to tear him apart. But the creature hesitated, tilting its massive head toward the wreckage, nostrils flaring as smoke curled from its mouth. Was a dragon. Or at least something like one, taller than a building with wings stretching wider than Ethan could take in at once. Yet it did not attack. It simply stared. And then, with a surprising gentleness, it nudged the baby with its snout. The infant cooed in recognition, lifting tiny hands toward the creature. Ethan's jaw dropped. "Wait, what are you?" he whispered, heart pounding. The dragon lowered its massive head, smoke swirling, eyes studying him as if weighing his intent. Fear and awe collided in his chest. Every instinct screamed to run, but the baby's safety came first. He took a cautious step forward, arms out, showing no threat. The dragon exhaled a plume of smoke that didn't burn. Instead, it seemed almost curious. It circled them slowly, wings whipping the storm into sharper gusts. Leaves and mud whipped around Ethan, yet the dragon stayed focused on the infant. For a moment, the storm felt smaller, less deadly. They were connected somehow, three beings thrown together by chaos. Ethan's mind raced. How had this child survived the crash? Why was this enormous creature protecting him instead of attacking? He adjusted his grip on the baby, pressing him closer. "Okay, we're getting out of here," he said, more to himself than the dragon. He scanned the jungle. The ground was littered with fire, sharp debris, and unstable trees. Each step could be a trap. A sudden roar split the night. Another shadow moved at the edge of his vision, something smaller, faster, slinking in the undergrowth. Predators. Alien ones with claws that could shred metal. The dragon growled, a low rumble that shook Ethan to his core. It spread its wings, taking a protective stance over them. Ethan realized this dragon wasn't just curious, it was guarding them. He didn't hesitate. He ducked, rolled, and sprinted toward a break in the trees, moving as fast as his lungs could pump. The dragon mirrored him, circling the path and cutting off the predator's angles. Each step was dangerous, each breath sharp and electric with tension. Yet, with every second, Ethan felt a strange surge of hope. They could survive this. Together. Lightning struck a tree nearby, splintering it across their path. Ethan yelped but kept moving, shielding the infant. The dragon leapt into the air, claws scraping against the mud, wings beating in furious arcs. Ethan glimpsed its massive talons and knew that any mistake could be fatal. Yet, somehow, the baby remained calm, eyes wide, staring at the dragon with trust. It was impossible, unbelievable, but true. They reached a small clearing. Ethan ducked behind a fallen wall of metal, breathing hard. The dragon landed nearby, wings folding slowly, eyes never leaving the child. A tiny smile crossed Ethan's face as the baby gurgled, reaching out again. It was a small victory, but in this storm, it felt monumental. Then a strange sound echoed from the wreckage. A metallic clink, followed by a faint hum. The dragon stiffened, ears, or whatever passed for ears, twitching. Ethan's heart sank. Something else was coming. Something intelligent. Something that had caused the crash in the first place. He glanced at the dragon, gripping the baby tighter. For a moment, the impossible bond between them felt fragile, like it could shatter with the next breath of danger. And then, out of the smoke, a glowing fragment of the starship shifted, revealing a faint emblem, alien in design, pulsing with a light that seemed alive. Ethan swallowed hard. He realized the crash was no accident. Whoever, or whatever, had caused this, they were not finished. The jungle, the storm, the predators, they were only the beginning. The dragon growled low and deep, wings stretching for flight. Ethan tightened his grip on the baby. Whatever came next, they would face it together. And in that instant he knew this was no ordinary rescue. This was the start of something far bigger, far more dangerous, and far more incredible than he could imagine. The emblem pulsed brighter as if calling to them or warning them. Ethan's heart raced. A question burned in his mind: what exactly had fallen from the sky and who, or what, was watching them now? Ethan barely had time to catch his breath before the jungle seemed to explode around them. The glowing emblem on the wreckage flickered again, and from the shadows small, swift shapes darted between trees. Predators. Alien, jagged creatures with claws that could tear through bark and hide alike. Their eyes glowed red, tracking movement. Each step forward was a gamble. One slip could mean death for him and the baby. He tightened his grip on the infant. "Hold on, little one," he whispered, pressing the child to his chest. The baby cooed softly, but Ethan felt a weight settle in his stomach. This jungle was alive with dangers he couldn't yet see. Sparks from the wreckage still danced in the rain-soaked mud, making the ground slick and treacherous. The dragon, massive and terrifying, lowered itself closer to the ground. Its eyes flicked between Ethan and the approaching predators, wings flexing as if ready to sweep through the trees and scatter them. For a moment Ethan marveled at the sheer size of it, at the intelligence shining through its glowing eyes. But there was no time to marvel. Survival came first. He bolted forward, dodging a fallen branch just as a predator lunged from the undergrowth. Claws swiped through the mud inches from his legs. The dragon let out a deafening roar and the creature froze, hissing. Its instincts told it to fight, but it hesitated. Ethan's heart pounded. One predator was only the first, there were more. "Follow me," he yelled to the dragon, though it didn't need directions. The creature's wings spread, creating a whirlwind of leaves and rain that slowed the hunter's approach. Ethan leapt onto a root, nearly losing his footing, and used the momentum to launch himself over a small ravine. The baby squealed and he hugged him tighter, feeling his small warmth against the storm. They ran as the jungle warped around them. Trees bent under the storm, rain lashing sideways. A massive vine snapped and whipped toward Ethan's face. He ducked instinctively, feeling the sting across his cheek. The dragon moved in perfect sync, gliding low to avoid snapping branches while circling protectively over them. Every step forward was a test, every breath a victory against impossible odds. A sudden screech split the air. A predator had climbed onto a branch above, leaping toward them with terrifying speed. Ethan threw himself to the side, rolling behind the dragon. Its tail lashed out, striking the predator and sending it flying into the undergrowth. The baby giggled, surprisingly calm, and Ethan allowed himself a short, bitter laugh. One small win. But the jungle offered no respite. More eyes glinted in the darkness. He spotted a narrow path between two giant, twisted trees. If he could reach it, they might find higher ground. The dragon glanced at him, almost as if asking, "Are you ready?" Ethan nodded, heart in his throat. Together they surged forward. The baby pressed against his chest, quiet now, as if sensing the dragon's protective presence. Suddenly the ground beneath them shuddered. A low rumble echoed through the jungle. Ethan stumbled, catching himself just as the earth cracked slightly, mud sliding toward the storm-swollen river nearby. The dragon roared, lifting Ethan and the baby slightly with a sweep of its wings to avoid the shifting ground. For a moment they hovered, rain pelting their faces before landing safely on the other side. Ethan gasped for air, drenched, mud caking his clothes. The baby blinked up at him with wide eyes, cooing again. "You're tougher than I thought," he whispered. The dragon lowered its head to nuzzle the infant gently, smoke curling around the tiny human. Ethan felt a rush of something fierce, hope, gratitude, and awe all mixed together. Against all odds they were surviving. Together. But then came a sound that froze him. A metallic screech, sharper and stranger than anything the jungle had offered. The glowing emblem from the wreckage flickered again. Ethan turned, eyes widening. A shadow moved near the wreckage, taller than any predator, limbs angular and strange, glinting faintly in the stormlight. It paused, then advanced slowly, deliberately, as if studying them. The dragon growled low in its throat, wings lifting slightly, body tense like a coiled spring. Ethan felt the first real chill of fear. Whatever this was, it wasn't part of the jungle. It wasn't a predator. It was something intelligent. Something that had caused the crash in the first place. Ethan pressed the baby closer, scanning the path ahead. There was nowhere to hide, no quick escape. They could run, yes, but this creature could outthink them. His mind raced, weighing options. He could try to fight, but against an unknown opponent in the middle of a storm? That was suicide. His only chance was to move, to outsmart it, to survive one step at a time. Lightning struck again, illuminating the figure. Its head, or what resembled a head, tilted toward them. A faint hum came from the glowing parts of its body, pulsing like a heartbeat. The baby reached out instinctively, gurgling toward the light. The dragon stiffened, as if sensing the connection. Ethan realized with a shiver that this creature was reacting to them, watching them, maybe even waiting. The jungle seemed to hold its breath. Ethan's heart pounded in his ears. Every predator in the storm seemed to pause, every raindrop frozen in suspense. He swallowed hard. They had survived the crash and the immediate dangers, but now something far stranger had entered the scene. The dragon's wings flared, mud and rain whipping around them. Ethan adjusted his grip on the infant and whispered, "We can't stop now." "Not yet." The glowing figure took a step forward. And then, in a sudden, impossible motion, it leapt from the wreckage toward the path they had to cross. Ethan's stomach dropped. Whatever this was, it had found them. And it wasn't going to wait. The figure landed on the muddy path with a metallic clang that echoed through the jungle. Ethan froze, clutching the baby, eyes darting between the glowing humanoid form and the dragon circling protectively above. Rain sluiced down his face, mixing with mud, but he barely noticed. Every muscle in his body tensed. This was no ordinary predator. It moved with purpose, deliberate and intelligent, and its eyes, if they could be called eyes, glowed with an unnatural blue light. The dragon shifted, wings beating slowly, tail lashing against the mud. Ethan felt the vibration through the ground, a warning. He whispered to the baby, "It's okay, we'll figure this out." But even as he spoke, doubt clawed at him. How could he survive this? A baby in his arms, a massive dragon at his side, and some unknown alien intelligence advancing through the storm. Then something unexpected happened. The dragon's scales began to shimmer faintly, a pattern Ethan hadn't noticed before. Strange lines, like glowing runes, traced across its limbs and wings. The glow pulsed in time with the dragon's deep rumble, almost like a heartbeat. Ethan's breath caught. He had seen the dragon fight, protect, and now, communicate. Somehow it was sending a signal. The alien figure froze as if reacting to the dragon's glow. Ethan's mind raced. Could the dragon be talking to it? Not with words, but somehow mentally, emotionally? He swallowed hard and took a cautious step forward, holding the baby closer. He had no idea if the creature would attack him, or if it could even understand him, but he had to try. "Listen," he said softly, almost a whisper over the storm. "I'm not your enemy. I just want to survive." He closed his eyes, feeling the pulse of the dragon beneath him. The rhythm was steady, slow, reassuring. Then, in a moment he could barely explain, he felt it, an echo, a connection. A faint, mental nudge, almost like the dragon was letting him understand the alien's intent. Not words, not language, just emotion. Curiosity. Hesitation. Recognition. The baby cooed, reaching up toward the dragon. Ethan's eyes widened. How could an infant, just months old, react to this creature with calm wonder? He felt a spark of hope. Maybe they weren't alone. Maybe they had an ally in this storm of chaos. The alien shifted again, taking a slow step closer, and Ethan noticed a tiny motion in its glowing hands. It seemed to study the baby, tilting its head as though puzzled, fascinated, or testing. The dragon growled low, a protective rumble vibrating through Ethan's chest. He realized the bond forming between them was fragile but real. This dragon wasn't just a beast, it understood loyalty, protection, and maybe even empathy. Ethan made a snap decision. If he could communicate even a fraction of his intention to the alien, maybe they could survive without a fight. He reached up, pressing his hands against the dragon's scales gently, feeling the faint warmth under the glowing runes. "We don't want to hurt you," he said, voice steady. "We just want to live." For a moment, everything froze. Rain fell in heavy sheets, the jungle's cries quieted to a distant hum, and the glowing figure tilted its head. Then, slowly, it mimicked his gesture, reaching a metallic hand toward the dragon. The runes on the dragon flared brighter, and Ethan felt the strange pulse of understanding flow between them. They weren't enemies. Not yet. Then came the revelation. The dragon shifted, wings unfurling, revealing hidden markings along its chest and neck. The alien's glow pulsed in response. Ethan's jaw dropped. These were not random patterns, they were messages, coordinates, symbols he didn't understand. Somehow, the dragon and the alien shared a language older than the jungle itself. A secret hidden in plain sight. The baby laughed, a small, pure sound that cut through the tension. Ethan's heart clenched. In that sound was hope, a reminder of what they were fighting for. The alien froze again, tilting toward the baby almost reverently. The dragon nudged the infant gently, smoke curling softly from its nostrils, a gesture that seemed to say, "He is safe. I will protect him." Ethan realized with a shiver that the dragon wasn't just protecting the child. It had recognized something unique in him. Something the alien must have sensed too. The baby's survival wasn't luck. It was the spark that had drawn both creatures here. But the moment of calm shattered when the ground trembled violently beneath them. A loud, metallic groan rose from the wreckage, and the glowing emblem pulsed faster, sending a shock of energy through the air. Ethan stumbled, clutching the baby tighter. The alien took a step back as if startled by its own device. The dragon hissed, wings beating furiously, mud flying in every direction. Ethan's mind raced. That emblem, it wasn't just a beacon. It was a signal. Someone, or something, was coming. Something bigger. Something that had caused the crash. And now they had drawn attention. He looked at the dragon, eyes meeting its glowing gaze. "We need to move," he said, voice tight with urgency. "Now." The dragon spread its wings, shaking off the mud and rain, ready to lift them out of the danger zone. The alien hesitated, pulsing with blue light, and for a brief instant Ethan wondered if they had bought themselves only a few seconds of safety. A streak of lightning illuminated the wreckage, revealing another figure emerging from the shadows. A smaller, faster form, glowing faintly in the storm. Ethan's stomach sank. This chase was far from over. Whatever secrets the dragon held, whatever the baby represented, it had only just begun. Ethan pressed the baby to his chest, heart hammering. They were not safe, not yet. But together, with courage, quick thinking, and a bond forged in the storm, they might just survive what was coming. And somewhere in the wreckage, the pulsing emblem seemed almost alive, calling to them, hinting that the real danger was not the jungle, but what awaited beyond it. Ethan barely had time to steady his breath before the ground erupted with movement. From the dense jungle, dozens of alien creatures emerged, faster and sharper than anything he had faced before. They weren't just predators, they were coordinated, intelligent hunters, drawn by the wreckage's energy. Their eyes glowed crimson, scanning, calculating. Each step they took sent vibrations through the wet earth. The dragon roared, a deep, echoing sound that made the creatures hesitate. Ethan's heart raced. He pressed the baby closer, feeling the warmth against his chest. "Stay close," he whispered. But he knew words meant nothing here. Survival depended on action. The creatures lunged, claws slashing through mud and rain. Ethan reacted instantly. He grabbed a jagged piece of metal from the wreckage, swinging it to knock one aside. Sparks flew as it connected, and the alien shrieked, retreating only to regroup. The dragon flapped its wings furiously, kicking mud and debris, scattering several attackers at once. Together, human and dragon formed a fragile, dangerous shield. Ethan's mind raced. They needed a plan, fast. There was no way to outrun dozens of predators in the jungle. He scanned the wreckage for anything useful. A fallen segment of the ship glimmered, a jagged panel that could serve as a trap. He grabbed it, dragging it into the path of the charging creatures. Timing would be critical. One mistake could be fatal. The first wave hit. Ethan swung the metal panel like a battering ram, deflecting claws and teeth. The dragon roared in tandem, flames flickering from its nostrils, illuminating the stormy night. Sparks danced in the rain, casting eerie shadows across the mud. The predators shrieked, recoiling from both the fire and the humans' unexpected ferocity. "Keep going," Ethan shouted, heart pounding. He spotted another predator leaping from the trees above. Without thinking, he hurled a piece of wreckage at it, striking it midair. The alien crashed into a tree with a sickening thud, leaving the baby unharmed. The dragon circled low, claws scraping mud, ready to strike any that got too close. But the jungle seemed endless. More emerged from the shadows, drawn to the crash and the glowing energy of the wreckage. Ethan knew they couldn't hold them off forever. He needed a diversion, something clever that could turn the tide. His eyes landed on a bundle of loose wiring, still sparking from the ship's energy. If he could ignite it at the right moment, maybe, just maybe, they could break the swarm. He risked a glance at the dragon. Its eyes locked on his, understanding passing between them. They were a team now, united by necessity and trust. Ethan carefully set the sparking bundle, calculating the timing, his fingers trembling. The creatures lunged again, and at the last second he kicked the bundle toward the center of the attacking swarm. Electric arcs flew, sparks dancing through the rain. The creatures screeched, retreating in confusion and fear. The jungle seemed to tremble with the energy released. Ethan seized the moment. "Now," he shouted. The dragon leapt, wings flaring, scattering the rest of the swarm in a blinding display of fire and motion. Together they broke free, charging toward a narrow canyon that offered a temporary refuge. They reached the canyon, mud slick underfoot. Ethan pressed the baby against his chest, panting, drenched, exhausted. The dragon landed beside him, wings folding slowly, smoke curling from its nostrils. For a moment they were safe. The predators had been driven off, for now. The baby laughed softly, tiny fingers reaching toward the dragon, and Ethan allowed himself a brief smile. A small victory in the chaos. But the storm wasn't done. From above, the metallic hum of the wreckage pulsed again. Ethan's stomach sank. The glowing emblem that had drawn the creature's attention pulsed faster now, a bright, almost living rhythm. Something in its light suggested a deeper, more dangerous presence. Someone or something intelligent had caused this crash, and it was still watching. The dragon stiffened, head tilting toward the wreckage. Ethan followed its gaze and saw movement, a metallic figure taller than the previous ones stepping from the debris. Its limbs were angular, glowing with the same eerie light as the emblem. It paused, scanning, and then advanced slowly. Unlike the swarm, this one seemed deliberate, calculated. Ethan realized with a chill that this was not just a predator, it was a hunter. A commander. He pressed the baby tighter. They were not safe, not really. The jungle, the storm, even the swarm of creatures, they were only the first wave. This was something bigger. Something that had caused the crash and had now arrived to retrieve what it wanted. Ethan glanced at the dragon, meeting its glowing eyes. The creature's pulse of light seemed to convey a single message: we protect or we die. Ethan nodded, heart hammering. They would fight not just for survival but for the child. For hope. The alien figure advanced further, energy pulsing in time with the emblem. Ethan could see now that the glow was more than a signal. It was a weapon, a beacon, and perhaps a warning all at once. If it reached them, the consequences would be deadly. "Hold on," Ethan muttered, eyes scanning for anything he could use. He grabbed a jagged piece of ship metal and slashed it toward a protruding root. Sparks flew as it connected with the alien figure, but it barely flinched. Intelligence met courage, and Ethan realized raw strength alone would not save them. They needed cleverness, strategy. Lightning struck again, illuminating the canyon. Ethan's pulse raced. Every movement, every decision, every second mattered. He could see the alien's energy ripple toward the dragon and the baby. It was calculating, precise, unyielding. The jungle was no longer the enemy, it was the battlefield. The dragon flared its wings, flames licking the rain-soaked mud, smoke curling around the infant's tiny face. Ethan felt the weight of everything: the baby, the storm, the alien threat. And yet, amidst it all, a surge of determination ignited in him. They had survived the impossible so far. They would survive this too. And then, in the shadow of the glowing emblem, something shifted. A new movement, faster, more deliberate. Ethan's stomach dropped. Whatever was coming next, it was bigger than the swarm. And whatever secrets the wreckage held, whatever the dragon truly was, they had only just begun to uncover them. The storm finally began to ease, though the jungle remained wild and dripping, every leaf heavy with water. Ethan crouched on a muddy ridge, holding the baby tightly against his chest. The dragon's massive wings were folded, but its body tensed like a coiled spring, eyes flicking toward every shadow. They had survived the hive attack, the predators, and the chaos of the crash, but something told Ethan the danger wasn't truly over. The glowing emblem pulsed faintly from the wreckage below, its light soft but insistent, like a heartbeat calling across the storm. Ethan swallowed hard, pressing the baby closer. The infant had been silent for a while, his small chest rising and falling in steady breaths. For a moment, hope sparked in Ethan's chest. Against impossible odds they had made it. They were alive. The dragon lowered its head, smoke curling gently from its nostrils. Ethan glanced into its glowing eyes and felt a strange sense of calm. There was intelligence there, something deeper than instinct. It wasn't just a beast, it understood the stakes, understood the bond forming between them. The baby reached up, tiny hands brushing the dragon's snout. The creature nudged him softly, a gesture so gentle it was almost tender. Ethan couldn't help but laugh softly, relief flooding through him. They had survived. The human courage, quick thinking, and stubborn determination had carried them this far. But survival wasn't the only story here. The dragon had recognized something in the infant, a spark that had drawn it to protect him. And in return, Ethan had earned the dragon's trust, proving that humans could inspire loyalty even in the most alien of creatures. Ethan scanned the jungle carefully. The swarm of predators had retreated, hiding in the shadows. The metallic alien commander that had appeared during the attack was gone too, vanishing into the wreckage as if it had achieved some unknown objective. But the emblem continued to pulse faintly, whispering of secrets not yet revealed. Ethan's stomach tightened. Whoever or whatever had caused the crash had not finished with them. He stood slowly, testing the stability of the muddy ground. The dragon shifted beside him, wings twitching, eyes scanning ahead. Ethan looked down at the baby, brushing mud from his tiny hands. "We're safe for now," he said softly. "But there's more to this. I can feel it." The baby gurgled, almost as if agreeing, and Ethan smiled. Small victories mattered. Every moment of safety was precious. The dragon's eyes flickered toward the wreckage. Ethan followed its gaze and noticed something he hadn't before. A small panel on the ship's hull was slightly ajar. The glow of the emblem spilled from within, illuminating strange symbols etched along the edges. Ethan's mind raced. Whatever was inside that ship was far beyond the jungle, beyond the storm, beyond any predators they had faced. He didn't understand it yet, but he knew it would change everything. Ethan knelt, brushing mud from the baby's face. "You're incredible," he whispered. "And so are we, together." The dragon lowered its massive head, nudging him in silent agreement. The bond between human, child, and dragon was no longer fragile. It had been forged in fire, blood, and storm. Each had saved the other, proving courage and compassion could survive even in the harshest conditions. A sudden movement in the trees made Ethan spin. Something small, almost imperceptible, darted through the undergrowth. His heart leapt. Another predator? Another threat? But it was just a lizard, alien in appearance but harmless. Relief flooded him, and for the first time he allowed himself a long, deep breath. They were safe, at least for now. Yet the jungle still hummed with life, danger, and secrets. The dragon let out a soft, low rumble, wings twitching as it shifted its gaze back to the wreckage. Ethan followed. The emblem pulsed stronger, as if responding to their presence, reacting to the bond between human, dragon, and child. A whisper of curiosity passed through Ethan's mind. Why was the child drawn to this alien intelligence? Why had the dragon chosen to protect him? Before he could answer, a soft metallic click came from the ship. The small panel shifted, revealing a faint light from inside. Ethan's pulse quickened. Whatever lay within, it wasn't just part of the wreckage. It was alive, aware, waiting. And now it had noticed them. The dragon growled softly, wings lifting in readiness. Ethan tightened his grip on the baby. He didn't know what would happen next, but he understood one thing clearly. They had survived because they trusted each other, because they acted with courage and intelligence when every second mattered. That bond was stronger than fear, stronger than the storm, stronger than the unknown that awaited them. Lightning flickered across the sky, illuminating the alien symbols inside the ship. Ethan felt a chill. Whoever, or whatever, was behind this crash had left a puzzle, a challenge. And now it had their attention. The baby stirred, cooing again, tiny fingers reaching toward the pulsing emblem. Ethan swallowed hard, realizing that this child, small, human, fragile, was at the center of something far larger than any of them. He looked at the dragon. Its eyes glowed faintly, the runes along its scales shimmering softly. Together they had survived impossible odds. Together they had protected the most vulnerable among them. And together they would face whatever came next. Ethan's voice was quiet but firm. "We're not done yet. Whatever this is, we'll face it. Together." The dragon lowered its head, smoke curling around the baby as if acknowledging the promise. And in that moment, the jungle felt alive with possibility, danger, and the unbreakable spark of courage. From deep within the wreckage, the emblem pulsed again, brighter, faster, almost like a heartbeat. A faint hum vibrated through the air. Ethan's chest tightened. It wasn't just a wreck, it was a signal, a warning, and a challenge. The baby reached for the light, tiny hands brushing against the glow. Ethan held him close, heart hammering. "Whatever's coming," he whispered, "we'll be ready." The dragon spread its wings slightly, a protective shadow over both of them. The emblem pulsed one last time as if acknowledging the trio's resolve. And then, in the distance, beyond the jungle, a faint glimmer of movement hinted at something larger approaching. Something that would test every ounce of courage, intelligence, and determination they had. Ethan's heart raced, mind alert. The jungle had been only the beginning. And whatever lay beyond promised to be even more dangerous, and far more extraordinary.